chapter Yud Beis, Posik Lamed Tes, Lamed Tes, and Posik, the other is Posik Lamed Tes, 39. Chapter Yud Beis, verse 39. The Ikka, just before we begin the examination of the Pasuk, we find, or even Klali, that the actual Yetzia Memitzrayim, the actual Geula, and the actual Yetzia B'Poel Mamish, Shibud Shalamitzrim, and Pare was Nikna Makis HaBechoros, we find that on that night was the tzivoi to eat matzahs, and then we find that in that kufa there are two what you might call levels or bechinas. It's brought down that up until the actual moment of the Makis Bechoros, which was Chatzois Laila, they were matzuva to eat matzah. There was like Bo'erev Teiklu matzahs, or that's like a commandment to eat matzahs. And yet in the Haggadah, when we give a reason why we ask the question matzah zu al shem mo, we give another reason. We say because they were driven out so swiftly that they didn't have a moment to pause, and therefore the butter didn't become chometz. So we ask why, and we eat matzah before chatzos. So ask ourselves the question, if we're eating our matzah before chatzos, why do we give a time that it just didn't become? We have to eat it anyway before Chatzos, because the whole Seder, the whole eating of the Korban Pesach is at Chatzos, and that has to be eaten with matzahs, and that's the tzivui of matzahs before Chatzos Laila. So it's like so the Alter Rabbi says both in Lakutei Torah and two Maimorim, and also in the Siddur Tfilis Mikol Hashana, the Alter Rebbe answers that there's like two levels in matzah. There's a matzah that you eat before chatzos, and that's a tzivui, and that's called in the Lashon of the Zohar Meikla de Mehemanusa. That's a eating that's shad to emuna, and that's still a level where you're still fighting, as it were, your Yetzer Hara, and Yidden is still in a matzah where they've got to break the yeshes of the Nefesh Abamiyas and the whole mareches of the Guf and the Nefesh Abamiyas, and devote themselves to Elokus. Well, that's the union of Emunah. The basic union of Emunah is like Hatnoah or Bitol, when you're still not really holding by it. That's the union of Emunah. Therefore, that matzah is what the Zohar Kodesh calls, in a couple of places, Meikla de Mehemanus. It's an eating of Emunah. However, after Chatzos, after the whole union of Makis Bechoros, then there was a Gilui Elokus, the Eibishter, in order to smite the Bechoros. It's written in the Siddur Arizal that the Eibishter himself came out into Mitzrayim to smite the Bechoros. Vani Yoitze B'toich Mitzrayim. And it's brought down the time in the Siddur Arizal that Malachim or any representatives of the Eibishter wouldn't have been able to go into Mitzrayim and still remain unaffected. Yeah, they would have been, how do you call it, Mevubal alidei the tumah of Mitzrayim. A malach, yet just wouldn't have been able to hold out in Mitzrayim. The Eibush himself went, as it were, Kaviochel, in person. The Eibush went into Mitzrayim in order to smite the. So we have a gilui of Etzem Ein Sof after Chatzos Laila. So it's written because there was so much Kaviochel, gilui, Elikus in the world. So then the Batzeig just couldn't become Chometz. And that's what's written in the Torah, in the pasuk that we're indicating, that this is already after Chatzos Laila, after it's already been the Machas B'chodesh, and the Yidden are preparing to flee Mamish and to get out of Mitzrayim. So it's written by Yoifu es Abotzeik, Asher Hitziu miMitzrayim, Ugois Matzois, that they baked the dough. Botzeik is the Hebrew word for dough. Asher Hitziu miMitzrayim, that they took out of Egypt. Ugois Matzois. Yeah, they made it into little, how do you call it? Uga is like Rashi calls it a charara. That's like a thin piece of, dough, like a thin piece of bread. Yeah, they baked it matzos, ki loy chametz, because it wasn't chametz. So what do you mean it wasn't chametz? How did it not become chametz? They were doing something. And so he says, no. Ki gorshu miMitzrayim. They were driven, so the Mitzrayim were so anxious to get rid of them that the Mitzrayim drove them out at tremendous pace and panic. The Mitzrayim drove them out. And they couldn't pause for a second. There was so much, how do you call it, rushing on the part of the Mitzrayim to get rid of them, plus this tremendous gilui elikus in the world, and that caused that lo yoklu lishmameya v'gam tzeida lo yosu lahem, and they didn't have, as it were, time, and perhaps they didn't have any concern at that moment to take anything with them. They knew they were going out into the desert, and who knows how long they're going to be out there and what's going to happen. But they didn't take with them, provisions. Tzeda is the idea of provisions. Mm-hmm. They just ran out into the midbar carrying this batzeg that they had, which was not able to become chometz because of the tremendous situation. And so the Alter Rebbe said, but it must have taken them, with all the nisim and with everything, it must have taken them at least 18 minutes to move all 600,000 people with all their families and all their baggage and all their everything, to move from Ramses Lesukis, to move a whole. So Enoch and Nami, there was a tremendous nest, and they had how do you call it, jumping over the derech and everything. But it must have taken at least, 15, 18, 20 minutes. So the Alter Rebbe says it should have become chometz. But why didn't it become chometz? Because of the gilui elikus in the world. The way you have emeser gilui elikus, particularly elikus, from a level, divinity, from a level of this level, which is ani yoytzei mitoch Mitzrayim. That's the Eibishter talking about himself, his own, as it were, essence. When he goes out and his essence is revealed, then what is the follow-up from that? What does everybody realize? That they're not a Matthias. If Atzmus Ein Sof is peculiar, then there's no Yeshus. It can't possibly be Ein Shel Yesh. No, everything is Hu Levade, Hu Ve'ein. Ein Zulose, everything, even the actual choima of the world, how do you call it, the material makeup of the world becomes bottled by etzem. It couldn't possibly be any inyan of chometz. Because chometz is the inyan of hergish Atma. How is it that chomet, builds up, how do you call it, puffs up, and it becomes a whole Matthias? Because the inyan of chomet, in its inner meaning, is the idea of feeling the self. The inyan of self-awareness and self-puffing and the whole thing. So that just couldn't be. And therefore the matter automatically became the botek, the dough automatically just became matzah, because there was no other, and that's hinted in the words, Ki gorshu mimitraim. They were driven out by the Mitzrim. Why? Because of the Makas Bakoides and the Gilui Elikus that there was. The Mitzrim were just completely bottled, and their whole thing was only to assist whatever was the rotten at that particular moment of the Eibishter. And so they were driven out, and automatically it couldn't become chomet. And so the Alter Rebbe said himself that it must have been at least 18 or 24 minutes. There's two opinions. How long does it take for a dough to become leavenized? So the Alter must have been either 18 or 24 minutes, the whole thing. Well, that's it, because there was Gila Elikus at that time when Etzem Elikus was begotten. It just couldn't automatically, it couldn't become chometz. It was just by definition, a definitional impossibility that should become chometz. And so therefore we find a very interesting thing in the Targum Yonason ben Uziel. He said that when they were moving out of Egypt, they were actually moving Ramses Lasukes. He said they put the botzek up on their heads. That the Yidden, and so it's written that they wrapped it inside their garments. So he said, all right, but they put it on their heads. And he said the heat of the sun was so powerful at that moment that baked the botzek that they had on their heads, and it became matzah, you follow? So what is the kasha on that? The kasha is that it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, and the Alter brings beferish that if you make a dough and you want to bake it before it becomes leaven, if you put it in the sun, it's not kosher. You follow? Even if the sun appears to be very hot, it's not considered a genuine baking. It would have to be, like the sun is going to be liosid low, and the Abe is going to take it out of its outtake. It's going to have to be a tremendous, temperature in order to bake the matzah properly. So everybody asks, how come the Targum Yonason says that when they were running out of Egypt, the botzek was baked by the sun into matzah. You follow? That's how he writes. So they answer that what he means is another thing. What he means is that Shemesh, like we said before, Shemesh is indicatory of the Shem Havaya. There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Ki Shemesh u'mogein Havaya Elokim. Yeah, that there's two things. There's a Shemesh and then there's a shield on the Shemesh. And those two levels are the Shem Havaya and the Shem Elokim. So the Shemesh is indicatory. The Gemara says in Masechta Saita that Shimshon, you heard of Shimshon? Yeah, HaShoifet, he was called Shimshon al Shmoi Shal HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Because the infant Shem Havaya, that is the etzem name of the Eibishter, and he was called Shemesh. He was called Shimshon. You follow? In other words, his name has got Shemesh in it. You follow? Shimshon. That's why he was so unbelievably powerful until he fell into the hands of some not good inyon who was then kind of machim lahari b'zeh. Over Mela, Koktoy said because there was a gilui elikus in the world, that's why it couldn't become it couldn't become chomet. That's why when they ran out, I was able, on the night of the Seder, we give that reason why we eat matzah, you follow? And we eat matzah because we eat it before chatzos. We eat it because of the tzivui, that you have to eat before chatzos. This was when they already started running, after they'd already made the Leila Seder. You follow? So how can we give that reason for our matzahs? So the answer in Chassidus says that because Matan Torah is the emes Gilui, the Shem Havaya, and that goes the whole time, Torah's Havaya. And that's nowadays by us, well, that's able to make even before Chatzos, like after Chatzos. In other words, you have, as it were, a package deal. You have before your Chatzos. Yeah, when you're making the Leila Seder, you're also getting a Gilui Elikus, which was by them only after Chatzos. You follow? In other words, what was by them 2 levels is by us 1 level. You follow? Over Meila, come to Islafi said that when we eat our matzah, we're really eating it bezeicha also of what happened. Plus, we're also and therefore the Zohar Kodesh says that in Eretz Israel, the matzah that you eat on the Leila Seder has got 2 aspects to it. One, it's a meikla de mehemenutza, how do you call it? It's our food of emuna. And the zweite is that it's a meikla de atzvusa, how do you call it? It's a meichel of refuah, it's a food of healing. You follow? And so we, in Chutzros, when they have 2 Seders, they can have 2 different nights that they can have Meichel de Mehunos, and I'll be noticed, so we pack all the whole thing into one, as it were, deal. Problem was, because that's how it was when they went out of Mitzrayim. Before Chatzos, they ate fighting for the Emunah and beating the koiches of the sitracher and the clippers, but after Chatzos, everything changed, everything. And that's the healing. And so what is the healing? The healing from the Yetzer Hara. The Gemara brings a Masechta of Bava Metzia, and it's also brought down in Medoshim that the emes sickness is the Yetzer Hara. Choili is the Yetzer Hara. You have a Heitzir Hashem Chemi, Kol Choili, well, that's referring to the Yetzer Hara. Of Amira, the refuah from the Yetzer Hara, that's the emes of refuah. You follow? So on the night of Pesach, after Chatzos especially, you have here in Eretz also Meichel das Vuza. It's also a food of refuah. Why is it food from refuah? Because you've gone out of all the mitzorim magvulim, and it's all melmaila. It's like the Targum Yonason says the Avist is making your matzah for you. It's all the Shem Havaya is causing a emes of bittul. Abamela Kunta Islaf, he said, that the going out of Egypt and the matzahs are integrally bound up one with the other. And therefore, by the Leila Seder, by the Korban Pesach, it's written in the Torah, you have to eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and mar. Al matzah, so mareirim yoichluhu. You have to eat the Korban Pesach. Why? Because the Korban Pesach is the jump, how do you call it, Pesach, the jump out of the whole, Meitzorim Magavulim, into the Amitis Inyan of Chedus, Oilom, that you jump out of the situation. That's got to be accompanied by matzah, because matzah indicates, even in its simpler implication, it indicates a fight against those things which are holding you back. And it's like a preparation. And then after Chatzos was the Inif emes of refuah, and everything just happened milmaila, and the Shemesh, literally according to the Targum Yonason, the Shemesh baked the matzahs for you. Everything happened. Yeah, Melamaila. We see then that the coming out of Egypt and the matzahs are all integrally related. It's not just that the 2 things are important and they both happened on the same night, but they're bound up one with the other. In other words, the way to get out of your own illness is to have matzah. You follow? to eat the emerson makler and the aspusa, well, that gets you out of everything. Otherwise, it's just a very swift happening that Hashem will take you out of a lavdavki, that you're going to stay out. Of a middle, we're leaving Mitzrayim in a way that we'll never go back there. And there's even a Ahisa in the Torah to go back to Mitzrayim, you know it. And it's very interesting, the Rambam brings it, that's a mitzvah loisaseh, that you're not allowed to go back to Mitzrayim. Yeah. And the Rambam lived in Mitzrayim. So everybody has that question on the Rambam. But anyway, Pikuach Nefesh Teiches call it. In those days, it's very hard to judge anybody. But anyway, so Lefizeh come to us that everything is bound up one with the other. The matzahs and the morah and the going out of Egypt and everything, it's all like one, how do you call it, package deal. It's all like one essence. So now, you guys are already asking the question, where's the stories? We always tell a couple of stories. So we're going to tell you now a couple of stories at least, and that will assist us and help us understand a further development of this whole idea that it's all bound up, everything is like one package deal, the actual going out, and the matzah, and all those inyonim, the morah that goes together with the matzah, that's all like one essential linkage together. And that is that you heard about the Rabbi Badichova. You heard about him. So he once, he walked along a few days before Pesach, and he saw all the houses, you know, and the housewives and the families and everything, all clearing out all the things, you know, into the yard, and they're cleaning everything out, and they're scrubbing and you know, kratzing and everything. So the Heilige Baticheva, he said like this. He said that on Rosh Hashanah, when you want to write a brevity for the tkiyos, you know, how do you call it, the blowing. So a tkiya you write with a kuf, and a trua you write with a reish, and shvarim you write with a shin. Is therefore you get kuf, reish shin, or you can get kuf shin kuf, or you can get kuf reish kuf, you follow? And they're like the Rosh Hashanah in the Siddur, for the blowing of the shofar. They're the seder of the koilis. So he said, he said, where does the tkiya, shvarim, and tkiya from the blowing of the shofar, where does it come from? He said, it comes from the kasherin, on Reiben, on Shiuren of the Yiddish housewives and the Yiddish mishpachas. In other words, how do you call it, the kuf stands for kasherin. What kasherin in Yiddish means to make kosher. Yeah, and Reiben means to, how do you call it, scrub, or how do you call it, forgotten the word, you know, to scrub something very sharply with a sharp instrument. That's called Reiben. When Shiuren is also, you know, along that way. And there's another word in Kuf, another word, Kuf, I just can't remember at the moment. And he said that those Rosh Hashanahs of the shofar, they all come from the Yiddish Weiber and the Yiddish Kinderlach, yeah, on Erev Pesach, kratzen and reiben, yeah, through them scrubbing and does, that makes the koilis of the, that's what makes the koilis of the shofar. You follow? Well, I asked myself the question, what's got to do one with the other, you know? That's in Nisan. This is how they call it. This is the beginning of Tishrei, that's Rosh Hashanah. So what's the connection, one with the other? So now, I'll tell you a story about the Heilige Ruzhiner. You heard of the Heilige Ruzhiner. He was a Einikul, he was a grandson of the Mezrich Amagi, the Heilige Ruzhiner. He was very Kishmoi Kainu. The Tzemach Tzedek said you have to call him the Heilige Ruzhiner. So he once said, And later, I heard about this, but later I found it's written in Sforim. In the Sforim of Ruzhin, it's brought down that he actually did say this. Because you hear a lot of things about different tzaddikim, and you can't be sure 100% whether they did actually say that. But here it's actually written that he did actually say this. Now what is, so you know there's a minig that on the Shabbos before Pesach, the Rav of the town makes a Shabbos Hagodil drosh. Yeah, you heard about that. He makes a Shabbos Hagodil drosh. And what does he talk about? What does he talk about? Yeah, he talks about all the dinim of Pesach, all the dinim of Matzah and Mara and Pesach. You know, how to kasher your house and what's kosher and what's not kosher. All sorts of things to do with Pesach. That's Shabbos HaKodesh. And then Shabbos Tshuva, yeah, the Shabbos between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, also the Rav makes a drosha. What does he talk about? He talks about Tshuva, you know, got to do Tshuva. So the Heilige Ruzhiner said that if he had a Chassidish Rav, a real Chassidish Rav, then he would teach him that he has to talk on Shabbos HaGodel about Tshuva. On Shabbos HaGodel he has to talk about Tshuva, and on Shabbos Tshuva, just before Yom Kippur, he should talk about Piyur Chometz. About cleaning away the Chometz and everything. So everybody says, you know, but that's a koparov, you know, it's upside down. Why would he want that? But I found in a sefer that he did actually say it. And so what's the Piyur B'zeh? So the Piyur B'zeh is that on Shabbos Tshuva, you want to do Tshuva, and you want to get better, and you want to be clean by the time you get to Yom Kippur. What is it that disturbs a person doing emes Tshuva and being be'emes miskarev to Elokus? The Chometz. Yeah, you're a whole big yesh by yourself, and you're all locked up in your own, you know, personal needs and what you say you have to have, and you can't be this, you can't be that. And you're all locked up in yourself. You follow? Emes Tshuva is getting rid of the Chometz. So he said, a Chassidish Rav, he would do it the other way around. He would talk about Piyur Chometz on before Yom Kippur. And he said he would talk before Pesach about Tshuva. So he said, because how do you get out of Mitzrayim and how do you avoid the whole Inyan of the Chometz with the guns? He said, if l'chatchila, yeah, how do you call it? You're doing Tshuva. In other words, Tshuva miyava, love tavkir. You know, Tshuva from a very high level, and then you're just out of everything. Then you're l'mayla mi'ah Chometz altogether. So we see from that there's like a bound up and an interrelation between these things. Everything is sort of linked up one with the other. So you could even do it the other way around and you would be able to do it perfectly. And maybe, according to the original, the Heilige Ruzhiner, you would do it more effectively. It would be more, effective if you did it the other way around. You might say, well, that's very nice. So the thing is that there's a Zohar that's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh exactly me'ain what the Heilige Ruzhiner says. And it's like this. It's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh in Shmois. It's brought down in Pasha B'Shalach, not in Pasha Boy. But it's brought down in Shmois that the Zohar Kodesh says like this. And it says that the din on Rosh Hashanah is a very powerful din. The Eibush just sits, how do you call it, on Kisei Hadin, and he judges the whole world. The whole world is under the judgment. So he said, oh, but who are the people that are not so much under the judgment? He said, those who ate matzah on Pesach, and during the Shiva Shemay Pesach, he said, they're kimat potter min hadin. And he said the whole din on Rosh Hashanah is only for those who mix themselves up with chometz.